The pandemic has greatly taught the practicality of investing in properties that appreciate in value over time. For example, real estate properties. To forestall or at the very least mitigate the possible disputes which may ensue, below are some of the tips which a prospective buyers may have to consider before and after acquiring a real property. First is to check the property's certificate of title. It is prudent for a buyer to check the authenticity and existence of a COT or Certificate of Land Title with the Registry of Deeds where the property is situated. In which case, the buyer will be informed if the property is subject to any encumbrances as can be gleaned from the annotations in the COT. For example, real estate mortgage or notice of lease pendants. A buyer should be cautious if the property is subject to a registered real estate mortgage. This is because a mortgage is a real right which follows the property even after subsequent transfers by the mortgagor. The mortgage having been registered, the purchaser or transferee is necessarily bound to acknowledge and respect the encumbrance. Consequently, the mortgage on the property may still be foreclosed despite the transfer. A buyer may also encounter a notice of lease pendants. This is an annotation in the COT or Certificate of Title. Lease pendants is a Latin term which literally means pending suit. Notice of lease pendants is filed for the purpose of warning all persons that the title to certain property is in litigation and that if they purchase the same, they are in danger of being bound by an adverse judgment. The notice is intended to be a warning to the whole world that one who buys the property does so at his own risk. This is necessary in order to save innocent third persons from any involvement in any future litigation concerning the property. Next is determine the seller's authority to dispose. Evaluating the COT or the Certificate of Title will enable the buyer to confirm if the seller is the registered owner of the property. If the seller is a person other than the registered owner, he or she must be able to show that he or she is authorized to convey the said property. This is because a person can sell only what he owns or is authorized to sell. The buyer can, as a consequence, acquire no more than what the seller can legally transfer, pursuant to the principle that no one can give what he does not have. Consequently, the buyer can demand that the seller, other than the registered owner, present his authority, which may be embodied in a special power of attorney. Further, even if the seller is the registered owner of the property, marital consent is also necessary if he or she is married. Articles 96 and Articles 124 of the Family Code both require the consent of the other spouse in the absence thereof. Absence of marital consent renders the sale is void. Next is conduct an ocular inspection of the property. The conduct of ocular inspection is essential to safeguard the buyer. Although a buyer may need not to go beyond the COT of the property, this is basically a common sense among buyers. So why would you buy a property that you haven't seen it in the first place? So you have to check the feel of the property, the surroundings, the community. You will see the way going to the property. Those are the things you will get, or those are the informations you will get by doing an ocular inspection. Next is immediately register the sale of the property. After exercising the precautionary measures above and once the parties execute a deed of absolute sale conveying the property to the buyer must immediately record it with the Registry of Deeds. This is to safeguard the buyer in case the same property is sold to other persons. For example, double sale. Because when a property that is sold twice or double sale, the one who acquires it and first records it in the Registry of Deeds shall be deemed the owner. And there you have it, a comprehensive guide when buying a property here in the Philippines. Remember, a thorough research, working with professionals, and understanding the local regulations will pave the way for a successful and satisfying property acquisition.